All right. All right. Whoa, hello. Welcome to the Lightning Talks. We're running a little bit behind. It took us a little while to fill up the slots for the speaking. Up first, we have Kim Creighton, who is a awesome person to talk about with education. I remember I met her in Berlin, and I think we talked for like 3 hours on education at like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
Which is a fantastic thing to do. Please welcome Kim Creighton.
Hello, hello. So I usually have way more energy than this, but it's in 3 minutes. Let me tell you, what is hashtag Cause a Scene? Cause a Scene is a movement because last year I was pissed. I was so pissed. I'm so pissed about people saying, oh, we believe in inclusion and diversity in tech. We know we're screwing this up, but oh my God, we don't want to put any resources, time, or effort into this. So we're just going to keep doing this and saying, oh, my fault. No longer. You really need to, lack of inclusion and diversity is a risk management issue at this point, and some of you guys are going to start getting sued because you don't have the diversity of your teams to make decisions, and my job really is to make white people uncomfortable. And the more uncomfortable I can make you, the more likely you will move and you will take action. Because little old black me, they're not really listening to me. I need your white butts to do some work. Yes. So what I do is train you on how to do this, because for the first time ever, whiteness, as I could say, whiteness, white supremacy, all this like a parasite, and for the first time it's eating on its host. So for the first time, white people are very uncomfortable. We've been living like this all the time. So we have skills that you do not have. You're running around like your hair is on fire, and people of color looking like, what the heck is wrong with you? You know, Kavanaugh, I mean, we get it, but we don't get it. And so after this midterm elections, you're really gonna be pissed off, and it's more pain for me, yay! And maybe you'll get your butt off your butts and realize that our whole economic system is based on white supremacy, and unless we change that, any effort you're doing will not mean anything. So that is what hashtag Cause a Scene is. I have a conference, I do a podcast. I also have these purple shirts on sale, but they're white with purple letters. If you go to hashtag.com, no, hashtag causeascene.com, they're on sale there. I really want to thank Selenium community and their organizers. They have supported this movement from the very start. And they are an example of what you can do to push these initiatives. We're tired of people saying, yeah, I get it, but I don't know what to do. When you get that lawsuit or you're leaving money on the table because you don't understand that black women spend a lot of money on their hair, you're gonna start regretting it. So that's what hashtag Cause a Scene is. Follow me, follow the movement. Think about sharing it with your organizations. I do consulting, all kinds of stuff, but hashtag Cause a Scene is a movement to get white people moving.
What's your Twitter ID?
Oh, I am Kim Creighton, Crayton, and the number 1, so Kim Creighton 1. That's it.
Wow. Thank you, Kim. That was absolutely fantastic talk, and that's why the white lettering is on there, because that helps spread the message. Up next, we have Butch Mayhew.
Yeah.
That's going to be talking about coaching newbies and beginners in test automation, my favorite topic in the world. Take it away.
All right. So when you're teaching new people how to write test automation, right, there's a lot of challenges. I'm going to give you a couple tips to help with that. And I would encourage all of you who are experienced, experts, masters in this, take some time, teach somebody new, help somebody's career. It's good. So, number 1, first thing you want to do is teach them about the why. Talk about why are we doing test automation. Talk about the goal, right? The goal is to give us confidence in our releases. You know, figure out what that is, make sure that's communicated. Number 2, when you're teaching somebody something new, start with something easy. Provide a good framework to learn in. So I personally use water. Whoop, whoop. Go Ruby, go Titus if you're somewhere here. It's awesome. We use page object framework or gem with that, and we use RSpec as a runner, and it's great. It's easy to use, it's easy to read, it's easy to learn on. And with that, also provide like a good README, because there's lots and lots of GitHub code on GitHub that if you've never coded before, you have no idea what to do with this. It's just some RB file. I don't know what to do, right? So have a good README on how to pull down the code, how to run the code. Don't assume This new person you're teaching, you're mentoring, is going to know that stuff. And get some good examples, not just examples buried down in the code. Like, put some examples on the README, something that someone can consume that's never seen that before. Also, extra credit. If you can get it in a Docker container and make it really easy to run, so they don't have to download the Chrome drivers and the Rubies and the right version of Rubies, that makes it super easy too. So next, that's some extra credit there. So also, build automation together. So find some time, write a problem on the board. What do we want to solve? What is the goal? Pick one thing, write it out, work through that as a team. And it doesn't have to be pretty. It does need to work. You can refactor from there. That's how you're going to learn. And also, don't do it for them. So if you're teaching somebody, don't just give me the mouse and keyboard. Let me just show you how this is done. Don't do that. Like, let them learn. Let them grow. Let them ask questions. There's no dumb questions, only dumb answers. So give them good answers when they ask questions. And also, find ways to invest on an ongoing basis. 1 hour a quarter is not going to get you very far. I've found 2 hours a week is really good if you want to learn and grow. So y'all go teach new people this and be awesome.
Thank you, Butch, for talking about every single one of my project readmes that has absolutely nothing in it or even exists at all. Up next, we have Paul, who's going to be talking about tonight's hackathon that will be happening in between the reception and the after party, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
And it's upstairs.
Yes.
Go at it.
All right. So I love stickies way too much. Way too much. Why? Because they capture thoughts. They allow you to take a picture of them. They allow you to share your thoughts. There are thoughts in your head. There are thoughts that come out of your mouth. Some of them are good and some of them aren't. Who cares? Let's try that out. And so what I found is that to be able to find the right thing to build, right, takes ideation. And so on the back of what Kim is saying, we need to be uncomfortable with certain things, right? We need to be able to actually say, let's try things out, right? And particularly when there's plenty of voices at the table, you get a better product, quite frankly. So what we're doing tonight is not a hackathon like you've ever seen it before. There's no vendor pitches. There's no build on top of our stuff. If anything, it's Selenium. That's the stuff we're building on top of. Now, I've had conversations with folks. What is one of the most effective things that I can do as a DevOps nerd, right, is to provide operational readiness to the components that I see in the customers that I work with. And that's a lot of Fortune 500s, 1000s, whatever. We're all using grid for some reason or another. And we need to be able to see when the grid is healthy or not healthy. So whatever that takes, I want you, who's going to have drinks at the reception? Okay, right? Who has the interest in just keeping the ball rolling today to actually provide a couple of ideas back to the Selenium conference? Oh, come on, have some drinks, have a good old time, be there, be one of the voices that's going to be there. We're going to be in the LaSalle room, which is right beyond the vendor and the sponsors space. So wander your way in there, right? We're going to take the first half hour to do an ideation session to say, what are the challenges with running grid, right? What are some of the problems out there? Also, what are some of the things that we want from it? And so we will be the voice that then, fortunately, gets the contributors, and you maybe become a contributor to the project just by being a voice at the table. So that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to have a few opportunities to say, if you like designing dashboards, you're in the design track. You're the visualizers. If you want to write some tests that represent test harnesses, go for it, right? But there will be various different groups, and I encourage you to be there. Please be there, right? This is a conversation that we have to have as a community so that we can actually build the next version of Selenium together. So thank you, and I'll see you there.
Thank you so much, Paul. Yeah, it's a really core thing to actually contribute to the project core because we need more of those people. We always joke that after these Selenium conferences that there's always one plane that has most of the core contributors on, and if that plane goes down, Selenium's done. And that's not a good thing, let's be honest. So up next we have Henrik, who's going to be talking about Selenium under load. which is my favorite time to use Selenium.
Hi everyone, my name is Henrik Rexet. So I'm basically working in the performance industry, load testing. So I'm not a Selenium expert. Why I'm bringing that topic, especially is today most of the app has a lot of things rendering. So JavaScript, a lot of things happening on the client side. And as you may know, I don't know if you've been involved in the load testing, most of the load testing solutions is measuring the request and response. So what is that? Is it meaningful to measure request and response when you know that there's going to be tons of JavaScript running on the browser, or if you're using a mobile app, a lot of things will be happening on the mobile side. So the idea here is, okay, why cannot I utilize an automating testing solution? So Selenium, for instance. You are driving a browser, and thanks to W3C, that provide a lot of great objects within the DOM itself, like the performance library, navigation, timing library, and there are going to be more after that. We could rely on that. So the idea, of course, I'm not going to utilize Selenium to apply load. So you imagine a 3 million user load test with only Selenium, it's going to just be a nightmare. I mean, it's costly, a lot of machines, a lot of things to manage. No, so that's not the path I want to go there. I want to make the noise, I want to make the traditional load test, and I want to collect data by utilizing automation script scenarios that is out here, and collect those metrics. The idea is that we want to measure the UX because obviously it's important for our customers and for our applications just to secure the deployment. So that's the idea. And of course, we can convert, we can do many things. And I think it goes directly with the poll which is just mentioned. Having a grid, monitoring it, and rely on those grids is just going to be a way to deliver performance in a very efficient way. If you want to learn more or discuss about it, I'll be more than happy to discuss with you later on. So yeah, thanks. That was my idea.
Sorry about that. That always happens. With any luck, it doesn't happen again. Or if we're lucky, it happens every single time. Up next, we have Zach coming up. And he's going to be talking about diffing HTML to solidify selectors. And on a personal note, I actually know him. We met in India 6 months ago, 4 months ago, something like that. And he actually spent 2 weeks in India while he was going to the Selenium conference. Set up, ready to go?
Thank you.
Take it away.
Thanks, Andrew. Hey, everybody. I'm Zach. I want to talk a little bit about the wild, wild world of JavaScript. There aren't a lot of rules. There are a lot of really crazy things you can do in JavaScript that, as a test engineer, and if I'm trying to write tests that are stable against it, I don't really know what's going on. I don't know how the page is loading. I don't know the order of perhaps promises in the front-end libraries that are loading things in a piecemeal way. I don't know how React works at an internal level. And I kind of rebelled against that. It made me really angry. I wanted to understand, like, how was the DOM loading? And also I wanted to learn that because I had a test that was failing, but it seemed completely correct. Like, I was using the proper waiters. I would look at the screenshot and I would see that the data that was expected would be there. But my test kept on seeing that the element was empty, and I knew the selectors were right. And it also worked on my local machine, and it didn't work in the cloud. So I'm going to describe a technique that I used to drill in on what was actually happening in the DOM, how the page is rendering. So this is a little script that I have in Ruby. The way that I use it is I'll put a binding in my Selenium script right before an action is going to take place. And then I'll execute that action, and then I'll run this script immediately after. And what it does is it saves the entire HTML page. This is this variable, old HTML. I write that page to a file, and then I continuously loop and pull the DOM for like the fresh HTML page. And if that page is different from the last one that we got, I save it to a file. So what that means is I'm collecting all the changes that are happening as this page is loading. Once I have that data, so in this example, I'm running it for 7 seconds. Coincidentally, I just ran this, and I guess I don't have it up on my terminal, but it created 7 HTML pages. So I know there were like 7 kind of meaningful changes in the HTML over that 7-second period. The other thing about doing this is that when Selenium gives you the dump of HTML, it's all like compressed. So I have to beautify the HTML before it's meaningful to compare it. So I use a tool called XML Lint, and I run that on each HTML page to get the beautified HTML. And what that means is each element is in its own line, and that means that the diff is meaningful. I use a tool called kdiff to diff those HTML documents. And then you end up with something like this, which is a little bit indecipherable. But what it tells you is that on this line that I'm highlighting, like there's a change in A that's not in B or C, like that kind of thing. And then you can be like, oh, it makes sense that my test failed because there's an intermediate state where the element is present, but the data isn't present between the element. And I wish I had an example of that, but I wasn't prepared for that, for the talk. But that's the basic idea. If you want to run one of these scripts in your own tests, come find me. I'll talk about how I had this up and running. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Zach. Up next, we have Lisa Crispin, who's going to be talking about what we do with machine learning and what we're hoping it helps us with. And let's welcome her to the stage. Oh, is she going to do it from down there? Perfect. Take it away.
My microphone fell off, so I hope it's okay. I put it back on.
Stage, please, because you're using a camera.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hi, camera. So I would like, we're hearing a lot about artificial intelligence and machine learning at the conference, and some people are asking me, do you think it will replace automation engineers, blah, blah, blah. I want to know what you want machine learning and artificial intelligence to help with. What's a problem that you have that you think it can solve? And I'm going to write down the ones you shout out here, and you can contact me later. My Twitter is @LisaCrispin, LisaCrispin. So anybody got something you wish machine learning or AI could help you with? What's that?
Flaky test.
Flaky test, that's a good one. And I'm hard of hearing, so just scream it out. That's why I'm down here. What else? Nothing? You don't have a problem that you need solving? Yeah.
CAPTCHA, getting through
CAPTCHAs, yeah. That's a great one. What else? Cross-site. Oh, yeah. So, and probably other security testing too, huh? Format exploits. That's a good one.
What if it analyzed risk in the application and told
you
you
which
test would fail?
Oh, analyze risk in the application and told you which tests would fail. Somebody tell me when it's 3 minutes, because I don't have any idea. Okay, what else?
Predicting points of failure when performance testing.
Ooh, predicting points of failure when performance testing. Are y'all timing this? I didn't think I had to
Yes.
time myself. Test case management. What else? I can't see the people in the back. What was that one?
Identifying false positives and false negatives for testing fail.
Could you hear that?
Positives and false negatives.
Identifying false negatives. Ooh, I like that one. And false positive too, huh?
Feature usage and production.
That's a good production usage. And we got a lot of production data, but it's hard to analyze it all because there's so much of it. So yeah, production use.
Code anti-pattern detection.
Anti-pattern detection in the code? Oh. Anti-pattern. Anyone else? I'm hoping there's like a forum somewhere of people working on AI and machine learning that I can give this to.
Distinguishing between good format changes and bad format changes or layout changes.
Oh, okay. Good layout. So kind of a visual diffing, or?
Yeah.
I think there are tools already doing that, but it could go farther, huh? Test data. What a bugaboo that is. That would be great. And it's all based on data science, so you would think it could help with that. You can tell I don't know a whole lot about machine learning. just excited to learn more. Anything else? How long has that been? Am I out of time?
You got another 30 seconds.
Oh, anybody, real quick. Yeah, I like the production use one. It's like it could even look at flows people do in production and maybe turn those into tests. That's a thought I had. Okay, well, I won't take up more of your time, but thank you. And again, if you have ideas, come find me or tweet at me. Thanks. Oh, yeah. Recording Selenium runs for replay. And what was the last part of that? For replay in a performance. Oh, I like that. That's really a cool idea. Cool. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Up next, we actually have Joe from White October Events who helps run this whole sucker. And she's actually going to be talking about an actually fairly geeky topic. So get ready. Welcome to the stage, Joe, as she drops her mic already. Do you need another mic?
Oh, how do I do this? Oh man, I can't even get my mic on. Hi everyone, I'm just going to put it there. My name is Joe, and I'm the Managing Director of White October Events, and as Angie says, we put on Selenium, so thank you all for coming. I thought we run Selenium and a lot of other tech events, and I thought you might be interested to know about some of the things that we do in our day-to-day work that kind of relate to some of the things that you guys maybe do. I feel like we've picked up some stuff along the way of doing all these tech things. So we have borrowed quite a few ideas from agile software development. So firstly, we do stand-ups. So every day the whole team get up and stand around the table, and we update each other on what we've been doing and what we're planning on doing for the next day. And we really love this because it keeps everyone on track, it keeps everyone accountable to each other to make sure we are spotting problems early and getting things done. Secondly, close collaboration. I think this is really key. We're a small business, and so we work really closely together as a team, and we work with specialists like the Selenium committee, people like Andrew here, to make sure, and developers as well. We speak to a lot of developers day in, day out, making sure that we are delivering a really great product to you guys when you're sat here. And finally, continuous improvement. So this is based a lot around kind of honest, timely feedback. We have regular retrospectives. So after this conference, we will sit down and run a retrospective and talk about what went well, what needs improving. And we get into the really fine detail to make sure, as I said, that everything runs really smoothly for the next time. Yeah, I think I'm probably I don't know how much time I have left. A bit of time. But yeah, that's it. I just thought you guys might be interested in that. Thank you all for coming. It's you who make Selenium Conference one of my favorites because you're all wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joe, for telling us all about it. I actually know about it because I'm involved with a lot of those retrospectives, but it was actually a good topic for everybody here to see that Agile works in other environments besides development. One quick side note, there is a phone that's on the charging station that is continuously ringing, so please go check if you have a phone up there. Up next, we have Boris, who's going to be talking about Webdriver Sessions. Welcome to the stage, Boris.
Hi. Actually, in my project, we have test cases, of course. We have test cases with different users. So user A does any action, maybe he uploaded a document, and user B have to prove, for example, the document. So in our Selenium test cases, it's a very pain that we do have a lot of login and logout steps. And my team and me wrote a Java package to prevent that. We call it Webdriver Sessions. And now it's possible that we can have more than one WebDriver at the same time. So if you need user A and the user A WebDriver does not exist, it will be started. If it's already in our WebDriver session, it will just switch to this WebDriver. So we're thinking about to open source that. If someone have or the need to use that package, talk to me. Maybe we can work together, or I can publish or give you the sources and you can use it and give me feedback what to improve, what to make better, and maybe you say, yeah, it's great to use. We only did it for Java, so if you're interested in doing it or port it to JavaScript or Python, would be also great. Maybe we can do find us and make a cool open source project from it. So you can find me on Twitter. It's Boris Rubel, a very complicated name. So maybe it's easier to get on our website, which is not online yet. It's boris.co.at. Hopefully it will be online from the 1st of December. So thanks.
Thank you very much, Boris. I know Webdriver Sessions are actually a pain and joy. Have you ever tried actually automating a chat window? It is not fun. It's just a lot of code, actually. Up next, we actually have David Nugent. I totally butchered that name because I always butcher names. He's going to be talking about Node.js support. Okay. Let's welcome him to the stage.
Yeah. So I lie. That's how I get up here lying it, right? I'd actually submit an abstract to talk with you guys today, but sadly it wasn't catchy enough. So, but the idea of the talk, the main gist of the talk, I'm going to be very, very candid, and I say that what I'm going to do is probably going to upset all of these vendors that sponsor our event today, because they all try to sell you something. And I'm going to give you all free, right? So that's the whole catch behind this. All kidding aside, because Selenium was born out of the spirit of open source. It was built by the community, maintained and driven by the community. So in a sense that, if you look at the Agile, we talk using the word Agile, the knowledge exists in the community, right? It doesn't exist in one person's head. So I think I want to ride along that train and say that to give back, we want to be able to manage the entire systems. We want to be able to drive all of your infrastructure support completely free, right? How many of you using Docker to manage? Oh, I love it. How many of you using some kind of cloud-based Seleniums rather than on-premise? One hand, two hand, right? So that's where the main roadblock is when you try to manage your Seleniums, that's where the real cost is starting to spike, right? That's when the company want to try to sell you a premium tier, right? If for one Docker, you run for free, but if you want to run a grid, you have to pay some dough, right? So what if you can do that all by yourself? You stand up the grid, you take it down. Right, so we put together some script here that I share with you. Let me see if we can get the resolution a little bit better. I will upload it into my public GitHub, and you all have access to that to free, right? Just very quickly gliding through. Forget about what the script does. There are 4 notes here on the left-hand side that tell you what the intention of this demo is going to do for you. It go to our GitHub repo. And go to our Docker repo, pull out all of your Docker for your hub, your grid, and your standalone, right? And then it will create a free tier version of that in Kubernetes, right? Your Kubernetes is a way to orchestrate all of your hub, and then it will deploy it to your Google Cloud Place. Now, it's free too, right? If it is not something you have to pay if you sign up for probably a free tier 4 or 5 users, 5 users to play it out, and you pay for the computing, not for the hardware itself. And now you can apply the same Kubernetes now in Azure. You can apply the same thing for any cloud provider. You can take the whole configuration and move it from one cloud provider to the next. And the reason I'm sharing with you this is because it's coming out of our own learning experience at Target. I work for Target. My brother over there, Kin Wong, and I, we are teaching TDD. We are teaching teaching full stack developer how to write their own tests and manage their own tests. So we have about 5. A lot of our engineers do not have a built-in knowledge of how to write tests, right? And yet our organization have no test engineering role. So we have to be able to manage the entire stack. We stand up our grid, run our test, and bring it all down. So this test right here tells you that you have Chrome support, Firefox support, you have hub support. All of these will stitch together using Kubernetes. And then you have a little smoke test to make sure that your grid are up and running. And when you run your test, you finish up all of your deployment, finish up whatever functional smoke or integration test, and then you can do a Docker compose down, which will bring the entire grid down. So poof, go in thin air. You will not have to manage all of that in any way. So that is my pitch for you. Hopefully, you guys go in my repo. I will hashtag that right after this talk and have you guys contribute and just give it back to the community. Okay?
What's the
yes,
GitHub?
Yes, so the GitHub, my GitHub repo right now, if the Wi-Fi would work, all right? I'm trying to upload and share that with you guys, but David T wins. I will hashtag that in our Twitter account for everybody to follow. So thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David. And in case you didn't know, the lightning talks, these are all people that decided last minute, like, yes, I want to actually get up on stage and talk in front of a crowd of people. It takes a lot of guts to do it, and I would like to give them another round of applause. Oh, and yes, I was getting there. There is also going to be another lightning talk track session tomorrow, same time-ish, right after lunch in this room. I encourage you all to sign up and talk about whatever you want to talk about, whatever you're passionate about. Up next, we're going to have, oh boy, let's see if I remember how to pronounce. Christina Blessium. I've totally butchered that. I am so sorry. Who's going to be in track 1, and we'll have Michelle McDonald in this room in just about 5-ish minutes, I guess. So go ahead, get some refreshments, and come back to this room.